Hello, welcome or welcome back to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Welcome to day 12 of our cast on adventures, the final day for me. Mixed emotions. As you can see, I'm not starting out with my cast on today. I'm starting out with some outside time. It's Sunday morning here and I've woken up and there are slivers of blue sky and it's dry. So after a few grey and rainy days, I took that as a sign that I must get outside. For those of you who are worried that Sundays are usually pyjama days here at Yarn and Yarns headquarters, don't worry, for the sake of decency, I'm not starting a new trend in Penarth of Sunday morning pyjama walks. I have managed to get myself dressed. Let's go down and enjoy some beach time. Oh look, I found a frog pond. Here, froggies. Look, lily pads, but no frogs, most disappointing. We are back home now. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of a walk with me this morning. It's much later in the day now and the sun has disappeared, so I'm glad I got my little bit of a fresh air in as and when I did. But I'm ready to settle in for the day and think about my final cast on. It's like a bittersweet moment for me, the 12th cast on, because I have enjoyed all of these cast ons. I've still got a huge amount of projects on my list that I really wanted to try and squeeze in, but of course my list was much longer than the number of days that I'm doing this challenge over, and the cast-ons have got to stop somewhere. And if I'm being quite honest, I am thoroughly exhausted right now, and it's not the casting on and it's not the sitting and the chatting. I think it's like all the staring at the screen and doing all of the editing and trying to keep up with everyone's comments, which is the best part of it for me, but it is a lot of work. So yes, I shall be looking forward to taking a break at some point over the next couple of days, but last cast on to do before we get to that. As you know, if you've been watching all of the cast on adventures this year, it's been a bit of a roller coaster this year. I went into the cast-ons a little bit more unplanned, or a lot more unplanned than I usually do, and I think that's led us down some really fun and interesting paths. So we've had spinning projects for the first time, which I've not included before. I've always kept my spinning separate, and this has just been about knitting and crochet, but I thought we'd bring in a couple of spinning projects this year. Specifically, people had requested to see some spinning in the 12 cast-ons, so who am I to deny that? We have had a pattern that I picked blind, the hat pattern. So yeah, close your eyes and pick a pattern. We had that this year. Obviously we had the a sweater that didn't work out that turned into a frog. And then we had the day when I was meant to be casting on a hat and that turned into a sweater. So there's been all sorts of shenanigans. But right from the start, I had already decided what I was going to be casting on for my 12th project. I always had a concrete idea of what my last project was going to be. So, is it going to surprise you when I tell you I'm not casting that on? No, it's not, is it? So, part of me is a little bit sad that I'm not casting on my 12th project, but I know that at some point in the future I will cast on that project that was going to be my 12th. However, I had a message pop up in my Instagram inbox the other day, and it's from our lovely Kathy, who is Mountain Pearl here on YouTube and over on Instagram too. And the message said, "Okay, I'm throwing down the gauntlet. You have been challenged. I've picked your project 12. Check Ravelry, have fun mini diving." So I'm like, oh, okay, this is really interesting. So I hopped on over to Ravelry, and Kathy had so kindly sent me a sweater pattern, and the sweater is called Simple Stripes and it is by Suvi Knits. So let me just show you a picture of the sample that's sort of knit up on the pattern page. Isn't that lovely? So yeah, as the pattern name suggests, it's a simple stripe sweater made from 4-ply yarn, and a great one for stash busting. You need 5 different colours, so you could basically do whatever you fancied. You could raid your minis and make all of your stripes different, or you could pick 5 colours as the pattern suggests. And as luck would have it, I have the perfect 5 skeins of yarn in my stash. And if you watch my Vlogmas video where I did a little bit of a whip roundup and we had a look through all of the projects that I had on my needles, I ended up frogging a couple of projects, including a Vertices Unite, which also happens to use 5 skeins of yarn. So there we go, you know where I'm going. So I have 5 beautiful skeins of yarn, and I'm not going to be able to hold these up easily. How am I going to do this? Because 4 of them are already caked up. So these are all natural dyed yarns from the lovely Fee at Flourish Fibres. I'm not sure if Fee is dying and if her shop's open at the moment. I know it was closed for a little while, so I'll check. If Fee shop's open, I'll put a link in the description box below. But yeah, I decided to frog my Vertices Unite because I'd fallen a little bit out of love with the idea of knitting that shawl, and I've not been wearing as many shawls. I still wear my shawls occasionally, but I was afraid that I would use all of these beautiful yarns in that shawl, and because it's such a big shawl as well, that I'd never really wear it. I wouldn't wear it as often as I would like. And at the time I said this would be certainly more than enough yarn to knit a sweater. So I'm going to be using these gorgeous shades of yarn to knit up a simple striped sweater, which I am absolutely thrilled about. I still have some frogging to do. I did start frogging this back because I'd knit the whole first section of the Vertices Unite, which is basically a shawl in itself. I mean, look at the size of that, and that's just section 1. So I had started ripping back a few rows, but because you carry these yarns up, they sort of twist around each other, so there was a little bit of sort of untangling, and it's not a super quick process to undo that. So I thought, okay, I haven't got time for that now. I'll come back to that. So I will need to continue to frog these particular colours, but I've definitely, even if I break the yarn off now, I've definitely got enough to get myself started with these colours if I want to. And the bonus of using this selection of yarn is I've only got one skein that needs winding up. The rest have already been wound up. So I just need to figure out my colour order, my colour striping sequence, how I want to approach that. So that is what I'm going to do. I have 3 what are in effect shades of sort of browny colours. I've got these 3 here, and then I've got a blue and a sort of chartreusey sludgy green. So my immediate thought is to maybe separate up the browns, so go sort of brown, blue, brown, chartreuse, brown. I mean, I'll end up with 2 of the browns together, but I think there's enough if I continue that pattern repeat throughout the sweater. But there's enough contrast, particularly between these 2, that I think they would probably look quite nice sitting on top of each other. So this might be the beginning and the end of my stripe sequence, so that they end up next to each other. So yeah, I need to do a little bit of figuring out what I need to do, but I will print out the pattern and have a look at the instructions and decide what I think is going to be best placed where. So my final project, another sweater. I think I've cast on so many sweaters in this, but that's good because if I get them all done, then that's a considerable amount of yarn out of my stash and made into beautiful objects. So yeah, not the 12th project that I had in my head, but a really fun challenge. How could I not accept the challenge when, you know, gauntlet's been thrown? You can't ignore that. So yeah, looking forward to getting casting on. I've got a few bits and pieces. I know it's Sunday and it's usually my non-adulting day, but I do have a few bits and pieces that I need to get to before I cast on. So I think it will be another sort of late-ish start for me today. I probably won't be casting on until this evening, but that's okay. As I established yesterday, it's not a race. It's not about getting as much done as I possibly can, although it's fun to show a good amount of progress on the channel. When I post the videos, I need to be having fun with it as well. So no pressure. I will get as far as I get. It's about 3:30 and James has just started us a fire going, so you might hear crackling in the background. I'm going to sit and figure out my colour order and have a look through the pattern and figure out how I want to cast on. I don't know if you've noticed, but this round of the 12 cast-ons has been fuelled by snacks. And I have something else new to try today. The lovely Christine sent me a box just before Christmas all the way from New Zealand, and in that box were some chocolates called Sweet Memories, and they're favourite Kiwi treats apparently, and this includes chocolate fish and pineapple chunks, and it just sounds super interesting. So I need some energy and some brain power to get my cast on going. So I'm sorting through the bag. I've got a chocolate fish, and then this bag seems to be mostly pineapple chunks, but that's okay. So I'm going to have a go at chocolate fish first. That's really chewy. It's nice. It's like sort of a thick marshmallow. If you're in the UK, I'm not sure if they have them anywhere else. Do you remember those things you used to get in the pick and mix, those shrimps? It's a bit like that sort of texture, but covered in chocolate. A slightly stronger sort of strawberry raspberry flavour. That was really nice. Sadly, there's only a couple of those in that pack. Seems to be mostly these, which I think are the pineapple, which I'm very intrigued about. That is so good. Probably gonna have to edit out some of my chewing. Again, very chewy in texture, but that sweet, sharp sort of pineapple taste with a really thin layer of chocolate. I really like that. Delicious. Christine also sent this bag of all sorts of different candies to try. Obviously I'm not going to sit here and try them all because I need to stop stuffing my face and start knitting. My final bit of recording for the 12 cast-ons this year, or at least the cast-ons section. What I was thinking of doing is, definitely not tomorrow, but later on in the week, I thought I might come back with one more video just as a little bit of a wrap-up of the 12 cast-ons, because it seems a bit like we've had this journey and it would seem a little bit weird, I think, just to end it right here. So I thought, yeah, I'd come back in a few days' time and do a little bit of a roundup about the things that I've cast on, how I'm going to be tackling all of the projects now I've got them on the needles, and I thought it might also be fun to explore a couple of the projects that almost made it onto the needles because that will kind of tie in with my knitting plans for the year, because the things that I didn't manage to get round to casting on are things that obviously are on my radar and may well get cast on if I manage to finish several of the projects that I've got on the needles. So I hope that sounds interesting to you. So please don't stop commenting about your cast-ons, because I'll try and do a check-in in that video as well. And if you have time, I would love for you just to leave a comment here and let me know the total number of projects that you've either cast on if you finished casting on, or if you're still casting on, your sort of total that you plan to cast on, because I think it would be really fun to do a roundup of, you know, approximately how many cast-ons we've had as a community. And quite honestly, I don't think I've got the energy to go back through everyone's comments and everyone's Instagram post again to try and keep a tally of that. So if you have time and inclination, if you could just comment and let me know your number, that would be amazing. Right, also before I get stuck in, a couple of you have been wonderfully naughty again and been spoiling me, so I want to say a huge thank you to the lovely Louise who gifted me the and I'm not sure if this is, I'm going to be pronouncing it right, the Miralat hat by Woolly Wormhead. I will call up the picture quickly just in case my pronunciation, which it probably is completely off. That's the beautiful hat, and it's spelt M-I-R-A-L-L-A-T. And yeah, thank you so much, Louise. That hat has been on my wish list for a while because I think it might be perfect for handspun. So that was just such a wonderful surprise to have that pop up in my Ravelry inbox. Thank you so much. And then literally just as I sat down to record this, the doorbell went and the lovely Beverly has gifted me a book. So thank you so much, Beverly. This is literally just arrived. I haven't had a chance to properly look through this yet, but it's called Knitting for Radical Self-Care, a Modern Guide, and it's by Brandy Cheyenne Harper. Doesn't that look fabulous? That cardigan that she's wearing, or it's almost like a coatigan really, isn't it? Just looks like a big hug in a project, doesn't it? Oh. So I'm going to look forward to having a proper look through this later. But thank you so much, Beverly. I mean, honestly, every one of the community here has just been so kind. I've received so much support for this make along, so many people casting on, so many people watching the videos and sending me messages, posting their pictures over on Instagram. And then on top of that, folks have sent me various gifts, pattern gifts, yarny gifts, and have joined my Patreon, and I've had a couple of coffee donations as well. So yeah, I'm feeling the love. So thank you so much. I know it sounds a little bit cheesy, but I really do appreciate each and every one of you, and I'm so thankful for my little corner of the internet here. A long video because we've got quite a few today. Again. Haven't they all been long videos? Which is again why I appreciate you all watching, because I know they've all been around 30 minutes I think each, so 12 days of 30-minute videos is, yeah, it's something, isn't it? So first off, I'm giving a shout out to our lovely Helen, who over on Instagram is HeckyThump1, and I want to apologise to Helen and to anyone else who may have been posting their projects over on Instagram but maybe not commenting under the videos. I know not everyone is able to comment under the videos depending on what device you're watching them on, and I have been a bit lax at giving shout outs to folks over on Instagram. It's quite difficult for me to keep up because some people are posting to Instagram, Ravelry and YouTube and leaving comments in the YouTube, and to try and keep track of everything, it's been quite a feat to try and keep track of all the YouTube comments. So yeah, I've been a bit lax at acknowledging folks who may be posting elsewhere. So if you have been casting on and I haven't given you a shout out and you want a shout out in our little roundup video, then please do pop me a message on whatever platform you use, because I will happily shout out your projects. And yeah, I apologise if you've felt like I have been leaving you out a bit, but just with so much going on, I've just been taking comments from YouTube. So Helen has been casting on, I think she's cast on 5 projects. Maybe I'm making that number up. I've got a little copy of her Instagram post up here. So what have we got? So Helen has started 3 shawls: the Earth and Sky, the Rockefeller, and a Colour Craving. Helen has also started a jumper, which is the Festive Sweater by Skein Deer Knits. And she has also cast on a sock, which will be for her mum, which is amazing, and is also planning a couple more hats and a couple more pairs of socks. So thank you so much for joining our cast on party, Helen. You are most welcome, and again I apologise if I have been leaving out the Instagram folk. Jane has finished a baby cardigan that she started as one of her 12 and has now decided to add another cast on to her list. So yesterday she was going to cast on 2 more projects, but she's now casting on 3. Love that, Jane. Our lovely Judy, who a few days ago said that she didn't think she would be casting on at all, has now cast on with her 2nd project. And Judy is joining in with the Winnick Mum Easy Mosaic Sock. And if you're not aware, then Winnick Mum, I think over on her website or blog, has started a knit along for a lovely pair of socks, and I think all the pattern releases are free and everything. So yeah, if you're looking for another fun sock to try and you want to join in another knit along, then that could be something to check out. Melissa and Louise have both been working on their whips, but are planning to cast on more projects. There's a few people who said that they've still got cast-ons to go, but they are planning to make some progress on some of the things they've got on the needles, which is absolutely fine, because as you probably are sick of hearing me say by now, the cast-on portion of our make-along is going right up until the end of January. Our lovely Deb has cast on 2 Afghans, one which has solid squares, the other has a wave pattern to it. She's also started 2 sport spindle projects, so yay, I'm here for more support spindling represented here in the 12 cast-ons. And Deb has started a camel down fibre and a white yak. They both sound amazing. She's also made a rainbow wall hanging for her grandson. I'd love to see that, Deb. If you post any pictures anywhere, then please do tag me, because that sounds amazing. You know me, I love a good rainbow. And she's also started 2 spins on her wheels, one from Angora and one from Merino. So many beautiful new projects there, Deb. Jen has crocheted a dishcloth and is about to start spinning up her Advent Rolags. Well done, Jen. I think the Rolags will be Jen's first foray into using her new nano wheel, so I'm excited for you, Jen. Lou has cast on 2 pairs of socks and a weekender, and she said she's keeping her weekender in a bag that she bought for me. I used to make a lot more project bags. I don't have as much time for it anymore, so that makes me happy to see some of the things that I've made out in the world being used. Karen commented yesterday, and she made me laugh, because Karen said that the colours in my handspun vest, which the basket is still in front of me here, so obviously the handspun's got quite a few colours in, but she said these colours were very reminiscent, she noticed, of the orange chocolate truffles that I was eating. So that did make me chuckle, so that might become my orange truffle vest in my head. Rachel has cast on a ranunculus for one of her knitworthy friends, she says. Tracy has started her final cast on, which is a scrappy V with some Malabrigo leftovers, and Tracy said she's also allowing herself the 13th cast on, the baker's dozen, and is going to be making herself a scrappy wrap or lap blanket, also using some 4-ply leftovers. Our lovely Annika has finished the 2 bags that she started for her nieces. She's also started and finished 2 memory toys, which are really special donations that go into boxes for parents that have sadly lost their children. And she's also taken on, the lovely Caroline of Colourful Creativity had a crochet blanket. If you watch Caroline's whip wrap-up video, Annika said that she's the one that has volunteered to take on Caroline's blanket, so it's a new cast on for her, even though it's someone else's work in progress. And I totally agree. New cast on for you. Mary said she has started her final, in brackets question mark, project, which is a toff hat, a pattern by Woolly Wormhead, and she's using some yarn that she bought on a trip that she was able to make to Portugal just before the pandemic hit and everyone went into lockdown, so she's using her souvenir yarn from that trip, which is just lovely. Ruth has started a Manx Lofton spin and is using a braid of Manx Lofton that's been over dyed. That sounds amazing. I also have some Manx Lofton over dyed. Actually, it's right here in front of me. I've got 2 bats that I've been putting through my drum carder, and you get these really rich colours when a dyer is dyeing over top of the sort of natural brown colour in the Manx. Oops. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that spin, Ruth. Angela C said that her 5th cast on sadly didn't work out, so she has ripped that out, but she's about to take on 2 more cast ons today, so good luck with that, Ange. You can do it. Kathy has started a Musselburgh hat in some gauge dye work yarns and has 2 more cast ons planned. Had been seeing a lot of love for the Musselburgh hat. Jane has started a sock with some yarn that she bought from Yarn and Yarns. Thank you, Jane. Always love to see that yarn out in the world and being used. Has also started a simple advent cowl, which is a pattern by our lovely Charlie of Charlie Button Yarns, and she's using some yarn that she had in an advent swap for that, and has also started a mixology shawl. So 3 new projects on the needles for Jane. Our lovely Keita has started a Joan vest with some alpaca mixed yarn and is also crocheting a baby Shrek, which sounds adorable. And has more projects planned too. Ellie has temporarily abandoned her interlocking crochet dishcloth, she said, and has started her cast on number 12. Thank you so much for doing all 12 and going the distance with me. And that is going to be a brioche cowl in rainbow colours, and Ellie made the beautiful brioche cowl that I am wearing today too. Angie of the lovely Thick Skein podcast and Thick Skein dye work company says she has been casting on but has been forgetting to post either here or over on Instagram. I don't blame you, it's so tough to keep up. I'm losing the plot for sure. But Angie has been casting on a triangulum blanket, a number 14 sweater, and has 1 more project to choose, but she's in a toss-up between 2 different sweater projects, and I feel your pain because I'm looking slightly off camera over there to a pile of yarn that I had sort of picked out for various cast-ons that I just didn't get to because somehow 12 new cast-ons just isn't quite enough. Lisa over in Australia said, does restoring an unloved Ashford traditional count as a new cast-on? And yeah, I'm saying yes for sure. You know how much I love my spinning, so I completely admire anyone who has the time and the patience to do an old slightly worse for wear spinning wheel and bring it back and give it new life and send it off into the world, or keep it and bring it back into the world of working and spinning up beautiful yarns. Kathy B has started a handspun shawl, which she said is the Wild Swan pattern, and it's a yarn that she recently spun up on her new Susie wheel, so I hope you are enjoying that wheel. For some reason I feel like, if you follow for a while, you know that I have 2 spinning wheels aside from my electric wheel. I have an old Ashford traditional which is currently being used as a display in a local shop, and that has never really worked properly. I need to do some tinkering with that. I've also got a Haldane Shetland wheel, which is a vintage wheel that they don't make anymore, and I would really love to buy myself a brand new wheel at some point. Circumstances and finances don't allow it at the moment, but for some reason I've got in my head that I really love a Magicraft wheel, even though I've never spun on one before. But at some point when, you know, things are a little bit easier again, I hope to go somewhere where I can try out some wheels and see if the Magicraft Susie or the Susie Pro is really the one that I want, or if I've just made that up. You never know until you actually spin on something, whether it's for you, I think. The lovely Lorry, welcome to the cast on party. Lorry said she's an inexperienced knitter but wants to join in, and knitters and crocheters and crafters of any level are welcome here, and it sounds like you have cast on some amazing projects, so welcome to the cast on party, Laura. We are so happy to have you here. Lorry has cast on a umbrella top, which is a pattern by Johi Locatelli, a night forest jumper, some fingerless mitts, and 3 pairs of socks. And Lorry says that she is a NHS worker, so thank you so much, Lorry, for all that you are doing for your lovely community at the moment. I know that it's tough to work in the NHS at the moment, but Lorry said she likes the idea of casting on a bunch of projects so that that bit is done and she can pick up the projects and work on them in sort of any 5 minutes of downtime that she gets. So I'm so glad that you have been enjoying your cast-ons, Lorry. And finally for today, Sam has cast on an Aran sweater, and she said she's using the Bellish app, which I've never heard of before, so I'll have to go and investigate, and is using Toft yarn, and it's the first time that she is using Toft yarn. What an another amazing lot of cast-ons. So yeah, as I said earlier, please do keep them coming in the comments below, because I will do one more wrap up, and at some point, it won't be probably until the beginning of February, I will be coming back with a prize draw video. So I will try and catch up and mop up any people that anyone lets me know about for the rest of the month, because I know, although my cast-ons have come to an end, I know that many of you will still be casting on. Okay, time for my final confession. And actually, I did get a fair amount of knitting done yesterday. This was like kind of the perfect lazy Sunday project. Once I got going with it, it's just stockinette knitting in the round with, you know, increases every now and then. So here is my progress. It's only, you know, it's a 4-ply sweater, so don't get too excited, but this is quite a lot of knitting. But here we are. This is my progress after day 1 on this project. It's rolling up on the needles a bit. So did I build that up to sound like I'd almost knit a sweater? I've only got like 2.5 stripes. I'm sorry if you got more excited about this than it warranted, but this is a lot of knitting. So yeah, I cast on. I've done the short rows at the back of the neck. I managed the first sort of colour change, the first stripe or the second stripe in my colour order, and I've started the 3rd stripe too. So these yarns are just so beautiful to work with. I was really itching to, I had like a stretch goal of trying to get through 1 stripe of each of my 5 colours, but it just wasn't happening because, like I say, 4-ply yarn on, you know, on 3.75mm needles, that's a lot of knitting. And again, as I said yesterday, I'm not trying to rush through these things, but I just, for my own interest, I wanted to see how all of my 5 colours look together. But I think they're looking gorgeous so far. I mean, brown and blue, what's not to love about brown and blue? Unless, of course, you don't like brown or blue. I love it. Oh, also that's reminded me, a few people popped up in the comments yesterday to say that they were the ones who enjoyed a bit of twisted ribbing, so that made me chuckle too. And if you are someone who loves a bit of twisted ribbing, then you are amazing. Now I know who you are, I've got you on my list, and anytime I need to start a project that's got twisted ribbing, I'm thinking of sending it to you. Is that right? Oh dear. Okay, so that is the end for me, and as I say, I think it's going to be a fairly long one today, so thank you if you have stuck with me. Thank you once again for watching and for casting on with me. Keep casting on through the rest of the month if you want to, if you haven't reached your quota of 12, but even if you're only casting on 1 project, I have been so happy to have you on board. And I will be back in a few days' time to do some sort of wrap-up video. I haven't quite figured out all of the details in my head, but yeah, I think it would be nice to do one more, but I need a little break from recording and editing, so yeah, I think it'll probably be more like Thursday or Friday before I'm back again. So I hope you will join me for that video, but until we do get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. I have thoroughly enjoyed talking to you every day. Thank you so much for being here. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now.